fourth graders, and welcome back. I am Mrs. Lamondo here to talk to you all about decimals. Today our focus is going to be converting decimals to mixed numbers. I think that you'll find, if you feel good about your place value, that this is pretty simple. Let's start with a little video that will give us an overview of how to change them into decimals.
All right, welcome. Today we're going to talk about mixed numbers, and we've talked a lot about fractions, and you've seen some videos on simple fractions and whatnot. But what happens when there is a large number mixed in with that fraction? We'll go ahead and bring up our pointer here, and let's take a look. See this 2 right here? Notice how that's bigger than the other two. These two numbers with the fraction bar here make up the fraction. Well, when you combine a large number and a fraction, we call that a mixed number. And this we don't really call large number. We actually call this our whole number, or the full pieces. Let's say we're talking about pizza. We all like pizza. So 2 would mean 2 full pizzas. And then the fraction would mean we'd have 1 out of 10 pieces of the third pizza. So that tells us we don't have a full third pizza, or we haven't. Let's say we've eaten 2 1/10. We were really hungry that day, so we ate 2 pizzas with 1 out of 10 of the pieces of the third pizza. So we didn't eat that full third pizza. That's why it becomes a fraction. Okay, now let's talk and figure out how do we make this mixed number and write it as a decimal. So our subject is converting from a mixed number and writing it as a decimal. So you're going to notice this equal sign, they're going to be the exact same thing. We just need to know how to write. And just like we know we can write numbers different ways, like the number 2 can be written as 1 plus 1, that's the same thing as 2. Whereas you could also do 3 minus 1, that's the same thing as 2. All right, now 2 1/10 equals, we need to write that as a decimal. So let's go ahead and take a look and see how we do. We already know how to make 1/10 a decimal. So I'm going to put the decimal down, and I'm going to write 1, and it's in the 10th place. But here's where we sometimes can be confused. We need to write that 2 in there also. Well, the 2 is our whole number, and it's actually just 2 full pizzas. We'll pretend like pizzas again. Well, that would be in the ones place. So I would take my 2, and we know to the left of a decimal is our ones place. So we would write that 2.1, or 2 1/10. All right, let's see how you do on the next one. Again, we know here that 7 1/10 is, or excuse me, 7/10 is the same thing as decimal 7. That's 7/10. We have written the fraction. Now we need to write the whole number in there. And you'll get to the point where you can write these together fairly quickly. Anytime it's over 10, we can put 3 point and then whatever the numerator is in our tenths place. 3 7/10. Let's go to the next, the third mixed number, and let's see how we do. We have 7 14/100. Ooh, we have 100. So I'm going to put the 7 because that's my whole number. I'm going to put a decimal. 14/100. Let's see. I put 14, and I know that 4 is in the hundredths. So watch, 7 14/100, since that last one is in the hundredths place. Okay, let's go to the next one. Notice that this is in the hundredths again. So I'm going to write my whole number. This is 12 29/100. So 12 with a decimal, 29, and the 9 needs to be in the hundredths, which is the second place to the right of the decimal. So 12.29, or 12 29/100.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Let's take a look at some problems that we will solve through together. Okay, so our first one says 6 and 76 hundredths. So we put the whole number first. Oh, sorry. So we have 6 and 76 over 100. So again, if you can say the words, it makes it a whole lot easier. Let's look at number 2. 1 and 9 tenths. Awesome. Easy peasy. Let me move my board down a little bit. I apologize. Next one. 7 and 7 tenths. Awesome. So let's try some more together. All right. So for 4, 5, and 6, I have 4 and 15 hundredths. For 5, I have 5 and 9 tenths. For 6, I have 4 and 43 hundredths. Let's pause and see if we can write these as a fraction. So my first one would be 4, big number 4, that's our whole number, and 15 hundredths. My next one would be 5 and 9 tenths. Number 6 would be 4 and 43 hundredths. Awesome. Let's take a look at 7, 8, and 9. So 7 says 2 and 26 hundredths. 8 says 6 and 9 tenths. 9 says 9 and 2 tenths. Let's pause here and see if we can write them. So for 7, we should have 2 and 26 hundredths. For number 8, we should have 6 and 9 tenths. For 9, we should have 9 and 2 tenths. Great job. Let's look at 10, 11, and 12. So for 10, we should have 5 and 65 hundredths. 11, we should have 9 and 4 tenths. 12, we should have 9 and 33 hundredths. Let's go ahead and pause and try and write these. So for number 10, we should have anything before the decimal is our whole number, 5 and 65 hundredths. For number 11, we should have 9 and 4 tenths. And number 12, we should have 9 and 33 hundredths. Do you notice that if there's 2 numbers after the decimal point, 100 is always going on the bottom? And if there's only 1 number after the decimal point, a 10 is always going on the bottom? Look for those patterns. All right, let's look at 13, 14, and 15. I'm just going to clear my board. 13 says 8 and 4 tenths. 14 says 4 and 16 hundredths. 15 says 6 and 1 tenth. Let's pause here and try and write those as mixed numbers. So number 13 should be 8 and 4 tenths. Number 14 should be 4 and 16 hundredths. Number 15 should be 6 and 1/10. Let's try our last three. Number 16 says 5 and 9 hundredths. Number 17 says 5 and 8 tenths. Number 18 says 2 and 67 hundredths. Let's pause here and try and write our last three. So number 16 should be 5 and 9 hundredths. Now, I see a 0.9 there. So if you wrote 0.9, am I going to mark you wrong? No, I'm not going to mark you wrong. That's fine. The 0 is just a placeholder. Number 17 says 5 and 8 tenths. Number 18 says 2 and 67 hundredths. All right, today we will be completing a Google form, so let's take a look at that now. This is Decimals Lesson 3. Of course, you're going to put your name. So first one, what is 6 and 76 hundredths as a mixed number? Next one, what is 1 and 9 tenths as a mixed number? Number 3, what is 7 and 7 tenths as a mixed number? Next one, what is 4 and 15 hundredths as a mixed number? Number 5, what is 5 and 9 tenths as a mixed number? And lastly, what is 4 and 43 hundredths as a mixed number? All right, fourth graders, that's all for today. As always, if you need any help, feel free to reach out to your teacher. Until next time, I'll see you then. Bye.